This video is for determining whether a relation is a function. So for a table, we're going to review the columns. The relation will not be a function if any x value corresponds to more than one different y value. So if we look at these tables here, we're going to determine whether they're a function or not. So what we're looking for is, does the x repeat? And so we check our x's. So I've got -1, 0, and +1. Now my y's repeat. That's okay. So this is a function. So I'm going to look at my next table here, and I can see that I've got x as 3 in two different spots. So in this top row, 3 is paired with a -6, and then down here, 3 is paired with a +6. So we've got two different y's. So this is not a function. All right, so now for ordered pairs, or for set notation. So you review each ordered pair. The relation will not be a function if any x value corresponds to more than one different y value. So if we look at our first set here, always check your x's. So we've got a 3, a 4, and a 2. So I have all different x's. So yes, this is a function. If we go to D, we've got a 1, a 0, and another 1. So the first one is paired up with an 8. The second one is paired up with a -3. So that one is paired with two different y values. So no, this is not a function. So for a graph, you're going to use the vertical line test. The relation will not be a function if a vertical line ever touches the graph twice. So to pass, the vertical line should only touch the graph one time. So you've got to be able to draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph, not just one place. And so you can see this one, I can draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph. It's only going to touch the graph one time. So yes, this is a function. So on F, if I draw a vertical line, you can see that it's going to touch the graph two different places. So this is not a function. And then for mappings, review the arrows. The relation will not be a function if any x value maps to more than one different y value. So for our first one, -4 is paired up with 16, -2 is paired up with 4, -1 is paired up with 1, and 4 is paired up with 16. So this is a function. None of my x's repeat. Now in the second mapping, you can see that the +3 is paired up with the 4 and with the 16. So that is not a function. The next page you have is a sort. And so what you need to do is to sort these pieces, whether they are a function or not a function. So again, what we're looking for, do x's repeat? So in this first set notation here, you can see that the -2 and the -2 repeat, but if you notice, they're both paired up with a +1, so that is okay. So that is still a function. Even though the -2 repeats, it repeats with the same y, so that is a function. All right, in the next one, if we go through and we look at our x's, we've got 1, 3, -3, 1, and -2. So I've got all different x's, so that means that this is a function. All right, on the next set, so we check our x's, -3, -2, -1, 0, +1. All of my x's are different, so that is a function. And then finally, this last set, I've got a +5, a -1, a -5, a +1, and a +5. So the +5 repeats here. And this time, it's paired with a 1 and with a +3. So this time, this one is not a function since that 5 is paired with two different x's. Now we're looking at tables. So again, we just want to check to see if the x repeats. So in this first table, I've got -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So all my x's are different. So this is a function. In the next table, the 3's repeat and the 4's repeat. And the 3's are paired up with two different y's. The 4's are paired up with two different y's. So this one is not a function. All right, our next table, the 1 repeats, but again, if you look, Both ones are paired up with the same y, with -2. So that is okay. So that is a function. All right, next table. The whole x row are -1s, and they all have a different y. So that one is definitely not a function. All right, now we have some mappings here. So in our first mapping, -3 is paired up with the 7, -1 is paired up with the 2, but -1 is also paired up with the 7. So that is not a function. And then in this next mapping, -2 is paired up with a -1 and with a +5. So again, that -2 cannot be paired up with two different things. All right, graphs. Graphs, we do the vertical line test. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the vertical lines on all of these graphs, and then we can come back and look. So in this first graph, the line only touches the graph one time, so that's a function. In the second graph, the line touches the graph only one time, so that is a function. In the S-shaped graph, you can see that my line touches here in 3 different places, so that is not a function. And then the circle as well, the line touches the graph twice, so that one is not a function either. And then finally we have 2 tables here. So in the first table, my y's repeat, but my x's don't. So that is a function. And then in my second table, the 4 repeats, and each time it repeats, it's with a different y. So that one is not a function.